God of War, Santa Monica Studios' mythical action-adventure game, would be nothing without its almighty weapons. Just as you use Kratos as a tool to project your godly gaming skills into the world, he uses an array of weapons to maximize his godly strength. These weapons are a big part of what gives the God of War games their distinct feel, and they're always a significant aspect of game progression. So, reflecting on the franchise and the weapons of destruction it places in our hands, we've come up with our picks of the greatest weaponry in the epic journey of the eternally enraged Spartan. Number 10. Blade of Artemis. The Blade of Artemis was used by the goddess it was named after to slay one of the mighty titans. Unlike some of the other weapons on the list, Kratos did not have to murder anyone in order to obtain it. Rather, Artemis gave it to Kratos in order to beat Ares, and it was a massive and curved sword that matched Kratos' enormous size. The blade could easily pierce any armor, injuring the wearer. This is obviously useful when going up against a massively armored god like Ares. Unlike most of Kratos' other weapons, the Blade of Artemis changed shape and color, which indicated its level when the user upgraded it. It is similar to the blades of Athena in the sense that it was also a weapon that was gifted to him by a goddess. It seems the Greek ladies just couldn't stop giving the god of war weapons. Number 9. Gauntlet of Zeus. Despite its enormous size, Kratos was able to wield Zeus's gauntlet and use its destructive forces to kill gods like Persephone, while Kratos would eventually lose this to its true owner, Zeus, shortly after retrieving it from its temple. The Gauntlet of Zeus was still extremely powerful. Zeus commanded Hephaestus to create the gauntlet in order to bind the Titans to the depths of Tartarus. Given its enormous size, it was designed to be wielded by Zeus in his gigantic divine form. When used correctly, the Gauntlet of Zeus can help its wielder perform superhuman feats of strength, as well as generate various types of lightning that symbolize Zeus's mastery over the elements. While the gauntlet was strong enough to break through solid stone, iron, and even immortals, nothing beats crushing a gigantic minotaur in the face with it. Number 8. Blade of the Gods. During the original God of War game, players would come upon a strange-looking footbridge that connected the statue of Athena to Suicide Bluffs, notably because of its form, a sword. However, this was a real sword made with a metal blade, named the Blade of the Gods. Kratos actually used the sword in his fight against Ares, after Pandora's box increased his size to that of a god. The Blade of the Gods acted like an actual sword, with Kratos being able to take full advantage of his physique to wield it. This was the sword he used to kill Ares before succeeding him as the God of War, making it a famous weapon capable of defeating the gods. Number 7. Nemesis Whip. The Nemesis Whip from God of War 3 was the weapon that would allow you to ultimately defeat Zeus. It was supposed to provide an advantage so great that it would justify the trouble of murdering the Titan Kronos to get the Omphalos stone needed to forge it. When you finally give Hephaestus the stone, he fashions you this. The Nemesis Whip features a moveset that is quite similar to the Blades of Chaos, but it is much faster and weaker, which discourages some players from using it. However, on harder difficulties, the huge combo potential of this weapon makes it much simpler to pull off than a lot of other weapons. Because of its stun locks and quick strikes, the whip is also effective for dropping orbs during a fight. Number 6. Claws of Hades. After defeating Hades, Kratos finally gets hold of the claws of Hades. And no, these aren't literally his claws. Hades was able to extract the souls of his enemies from their physical bodies using this set of spiky chains with 2 hooks at the end that glow menacingly purple. As the claws absorbed more unfortunate souls, their speed and assault strength rose, making it critical to hit foes as much as possible. Similar to the barbarian hammer, Kratos' claws granted him the power to conjure undead souls to help him. Kratos was also able to avoid incoming strikes by sinking his claws into the ground and dragging himself toward them. The voices of the souls absorbed by the claws could be heard with each strike. The greater the strength these claws gained, the more souls you could conjure, such as a Medusa or a centaur. Number 5. Nemeancestous. The Nemeancestous, first obtained after defeating Hercules, one of the strongest demigods in Greek mythology, is all about raw, brute power. Hercules is said to have received the gauntlets after slaying the dead Nemean lion as part of his 12 labors. The massive pair of metal gauntlets is kind of like metal boxing gloves, each depicting the head of a roaring lion. When equipped, the Nemeancestus boosts the wielder's power, allowing Kratos to effortlessly defeat or shatter even the most powerful foes. While these growling gauntlets are lethal up close. They also allow Kratos to strike from a medium distance, since the lion heads are hooked to chains that let them be hurled at Kratos' enemies. As one would expect from lion-shaped gauntlets, each hit from the Nemeancestous is followed by a lion's roar or growl. Number 4. Blades of Athena. While the Blades of Chaos remain Kratos' most known and greatest weapons, the Blades of Athena were possibly the most iconic upgrades throughout the saga. Bestowed by Athena herself, these blades perform the same role and purpose of the Blades of Chaos. This time, her own variant possessed greater heavenly power, as seen by the red engravings and golden aura it granted Kratos as the god of war. Given their godly nature, the Blades of Athena had some sort of divine power when activated by Kratos. The divine reckoning effect is triggered when Kratos slams the blades into the ground, creating a tornado to encircle Kratos and blast away everyone who dares to approach him. Number 3. Blade of Olympus. This mythical sword, fashioned by the god of lightning himself, utilizing both the sky and the earth at the conclusion of the war between the gods and the Titans, is one of the most powerful weapons given to Kratos in the God of War games. Zeus bestows the blade on Kratos upon his ascension as the new god of war. This weapon, whether used as a standalone weapon in God of War 2 or in combination with the rage mechanism in God of War 3, is always overpowered. It was used by Kratos to kill, among others, both Zeus and Gaia, and finally, himself. Well, at least that's what we thought until God of War 2018 was announced. Number 2. Leviathan Acts. Kratos travels to the domain of the Norse gods in the most recent God of War. Between Greece and now, he has acquired the legendary Leviathan Acts. This weapon, forged by the dwarf brothers who created Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, is devastatingly cold. Unlike in previous games, the runes you place in this weapon boost its power and bring other modifications. It is cold enough to freeze adversaries, and, like Mjolnir, it returns to its owner's hand. This weapon is ideal for the God of War's more up-close and grounded hack-and-slash action, and it looks like this weapon is here to stay as the series' new primary weapon, that its power and legacy will expand over time. Number 1. Blades of Chaos. These were the first ever chained weapons to be wielded by Kratos. Ares, the god of war, forged the swords in the depths of Hades. He had made the blades for someone who would prove worthy of their service. The swords imbued with fire would ignite with every attack, and due to the lengthy chains they were tied to, they could attack across large distances. This was the weapon that made the fans fall in love with the game's combat. While the blades are satisfying to use, they have a tragic background. While enraged by Ares, Kratos unknowingly used them to kill his own wife, Lysandra, and daughter, Calliope. This, of course, angered Kratos, who would go on to murder Ares and become the god of war himself. After this, they were never seen again and were replaced by the Blades of Exile. With God of War Ragnarok out now, we hope to see new names added to the list. Will we actually be able to use the Mjolnir? Let us know down in the comments. We'll see you next time. Until then, stay mythically mad.